What if loneliness is actually the doorway to your greatest superpower? In today's episode, we're going to talk about how to go from loneliness to a beautiful, joyful alone. I know that sounds crazy, especially if you're right in the middle of loneliness. I want to show you what's possible when you stop running from loneliness and you turn toward it instead. You know, I'm really passionate about this topic because I really want you to be free from the inside out. But in order to do that, you have to master loneliness. And most people, they won't do it. They don't want to do the work. It's too hard. It's going to take too much time. They don't want to feel uncomfortable, even though they're already in a lot of pain being lonely. And I promise you that when you apply the tools and the concepts that I'm talking about today, things in your life will change for the better. I've worked with hundreds of empaths and sensitives who were struggling with loneliness at some point in their healing journey. And here's what I know to be true. All of the tips and tricks that we use, like distracting ourselves, making plans, going on big trips, they only work for a little while because the loneliness always comes back until we actually address it. I went through an intense period of loneliness for about 5 years, and it was a loneliness that I had never experienced before. It was this dread to go home to my apartment by myself. And I couldn't understand it because I was at the pinnacle of success in my work. I had lots of friends, and yet this dread of loneliness, this despair, plagued me for a very long time. And like I said, I knew all the tricks. I'm a therapist. I knew how to distract myself. But what I didn't realize was that I was actually running from something. And I didn't know I was running until I actually stopped. And when I say stopped, I stopped running from my loneliness. And I decided to just be with it. And that's when everything changed. And here's what I learned. There is a difference between loneliness and being alone, okay? Loneliness is the absence of other people. It's the absence of the things that we long to have. There's a gap, and it feels like a void. Now, being alone, if you look at the word alone, it's all one with yourself. This is a very important distinction to remember. And stay with me, because by the end of this video, I'm going to give you 3 steps to go from loneliness to alone. But before I do that, I want to give you some context. We have to change our mindset. Here's what the research shows on loneliness, and I was shocked to see this myself. Loneliness is actually a type of avoidance. Kind of shocking, huh? Loneliness already feels really bad, so you would think that you're feeling. But when you go a little bit deeper, it starts to make sense. The research goes on to say, emotional avoidance is the strongest predictor for unhappiness, loneliness, and anxiety. If loneliness is an emotional avoidance, then is loneliness even emotion at all? And this is where it gets interesting. And I really want you to get this, because this is a very important mindset shift in order to start to change your relationship with loneliness. Loneliness is actually a set of emotions. It's despair, sadness, and emptiness. And those feelings sit on the top of some other emotions, like maybe grief underneath that. So loneliness is actually a symptom of something else. And that's what we want to get to in this video. You see, we get stuck in loneliness, and we're not doing it on purpose. We're not consciously avoiding, but we are. And we think that the problem is loneliness, but that's not the problem at all. I'm going to say that again. Just really hear this. Loneliness is a type of avoidance. And you may be wondering, well, what am I avoiding? Well, by the end of this video, we're going to have a clearer idea of what that is. So stay with me. So the next part is, what does the research say on being alone, right? So the research talks about solitude, and solitude is the joy of being alone. When we spend time intentionally with ourselves, something shifts. Stress hormones decrease, heart rate variability becomes improved, which means our heart and our brain are more coherent. And the brain begins to grow new neurons. I mean, that's amazing. When we're alone, your brain actually changes. But this can't happen if you're stuck in loneliness. And here's something else that nobody talks about. Learning to spend time alone supports your ability to make big decisions in your life. And it doesn't mean that we don't ever ask for help, but we take the time to reflect inward before we go out and ask for people's opinions. Being alone is a skill, and it's something that you can learn. And for sensitive people, this is huge because it's actually your sensitivity that's going to get you from loneliness to alone, because your sensitivity is not the problem. It's actually the answer. So now let's jump in and talk about the 3 ways to go from loneliness to alone. The first step is to stop running from loneliness. And I know that can seem really scary because loneliness is no fun, but you really need to be brave and make a point to go home or wake up in that morning and just allow yourself to feel it. So here's a little diagram. And on this side, we have loneliness, okay? And this is our little bucket of loneliness. And when I was talking about how we unknowingly are avoiding stuff in our loneliness because loneliness is a set of emotions, like loneliness is anger, it's sadness, it's disappointment, it's grief. And so it's this conglomeration and it just feels really bad, right? But when I talk about stopping and turning toward it, you actually want to stop floating above the bucket of loneliness and you want to take yourself into it, intentionally feeling these feelings underneath. And oftentimes it'll start with loneliness and maybe move into despair, but then you'll come across maybe anger, or maybe you'll cry a little bit, or you'll remember you're disappointed about something. But see, the beauty of this process is that when you stop running and you turn towards these things that I know you don't want to feel, I get it, they suck. But this is your doorway, because once you start to feel these, then this other thing opens up and now you're alone. But look, you're all one with yourself. And now you get to experience contentment. You get to experience creativity and happiness. Why? Because now your brain is open to change. And like I said earlier, your brain starts to rewire once you're in this all one with yourself space. So the next part in this process that I want to talk to you about is lean in. So when we're here, right, I'm telling you to drop in and lean in. And now I'm going to tell you how to do that, because it doesn't know, like, what is lean in, right? What is it? Well, let me tell you. When you stop running and you slow down and you tune into your sensitivity and that deep capacity that you have to feel is your greatest asset in this process. So this is what I tell all my clients. When you stop running and you turn towards your emotions, the ones you've been avoiding for a long time, it's going to be a little bit scary. So I like to teach people about what I call the arc of an emotion. This is a diagram to explain to you what happens when you lean into something that you've been avoiding, okay? So you're down here in loneliness, right? And now you're going into that bucket and you hit one of those emotions. And this is what's going to happen. That emotion is going to start to grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's going to start to balloon up. And right about here is where we always run, all of us. Because it feels like that emotion is going to last forever. And I know that's a real feeling. And I know that point when it's really scary, okay? But I promise you, if you go through this, it will come down. Because right when you get here, you want to let it balloon up and ride that wave all the way down, and then you'll be in your alone space. And I have worked with thousands of people through this process, and I have even timed people. And it literally is about 1 minute, maybe 2. But it feels like eternity. And we have to trust in that moment that that feeling is on its way out. And this part, we can't miss this part, because this is actually how you move the emotion through. And you have to move it through to get to alone, to that beautiful, joyful alone. So now we're on to the final part of going from loneliness to alone. And I'm going to come back to this diagram, okay? Because this is the tricky part, and this is why people don't stick with it. But I think that you're somebody who will. So once you do this one time and you go through the arc of an emotion and you've been brave enough to do that, now you need to learn the art of allowing. Because we don't do this one time and then we're done. Okay? This is an ongoing process. First we go through sadness. And then we go through despair. And then we go through grief. And it's layered. So we want to allow. And that means that every time a new emotion comes up, right? Maybe we feel that pesky loneliness again, right? Well, loneliness is a symptom. It's an alarm bell to look beneath. And maybe there's another layer of grief that's going to take us to that beautiful, joyful, content, alone, where we're alive and creative. That's the payoff every time. So you have to be willing to do the work and allow. Turn toward it, lean into it, and then allow it. 1, 2, 3. We do that over and over again until one day our loneliness bucket gets smaller and smaller and more empty. That's what we want, because we're dealing with it. And eventually we won't feel the pangs of loneliness. And if we do, now we know what to do with it. And boom, we can just keep going back. And this is your formula. So here's the invitation. Stop running, lean in, and allow. And I'm so passionate about this that I've developed a guide that will take you through the steps in a deeper way. It's called From Chaos to Clarity, Master Your Anxiety and Other Pesky Emotions. So this is a daily practice, this guide. And once you get it down, it will be something that you'll be able to do in 5 minutes, okay? But in the beginning, it's going to take a little time. But it's going to teach you how to use your sensitivity to access your superpower so you can flow through the arc of an emotion and you can start to release this loneliness and to become more vibrantly, powerfully alone. So click the link below, for my free guide, From Chaos to Clarity, Master Your Anxiety and Other Pesky Emotions like Loneliness. And if you want to take a deeper dive into my work, you can check out this video and this video. See you in the next episode. Bye for now.